Briefly, I want to talk about unconscionability, and this applies when there's a circumstance that the court will not enforce what appears to meet these four elements of a contract. When looking at unconscionability, the court often considers issues related to consideration and capacity. So generally, when a court is looking at consideration, the court will not reverse a contract because it was not a good deal. The court is not there to assess fairness or whether the price was right and fair. Somebody can really overpay for something, a service or a good, and have no remedy in the courts because the courts are not looking to defend your right to a fair deal. However, there are circumstances where the terms are so grossly out of scale that the court will step in and say this is not an enforceable contract. And so some of the things the court looks at are, is this an adhesion contract? Being an adhesion contract alone will not disqualify a contract as unconscionable because there are thousands of adhesion contracts. For example, when I buy something from an online seller, I most likely have to click, yes, I agree to terms. Adhesion means it's non-negotiable. It's a take it or leave it. I can't call up Nordstrom or Amazon or Walmart and say, hey, I'm not so happy with this term. It's a take it or leave it. If I want that product from that online seller, then I've got to accept that contract. Now, sometimes that lack of negotiability can go against one party, and that's if the terms of the contract turn out to be grossly, which means very large, grossly unfair. And another factor the courts look at is the capacity. Is there a huge disparity in bargaining power between the parties? And especially, is one of the parties somewhat vulnerable? So technically they have legal capacity, but maybe they're very vulnerable. The elderly, perhaps, might have a stronger case for a contract being held unconscionable than you, a college student or college graduate or law school student who does have the benefits of education and youth. So again, we've been discussing unconscionability, which the court will consider terms or factors such as this, none of which are dispositive. The court will consider things like this. If they find a contract is unconscionable, the outcome is that it is unenforceable, will not be enforced by the courts.